news and sports this evening at 7. UNESCO raises climate concerns as it supports SVG's heritage site nominations. Rising HIV risk among young people in the Caribbean sparks concern. Israel targets civilian areas in Lebanon. And in sports, King and Mooney stars Australia women escape catching nightmare to clinch first T20 against West Indies at Arnersville playing field. These and other stories coming up in SVGTV News and Sports this evening at 7.
Good evening and welcome to SVG-TV's News and Sports for Friday, March 20th, 2026. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. UNESCO's World Heritage Center has noted with concern that Caribbean small island developing states, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, continue to feel the brunt of climate change. With a team from the center currently an SVG chief of the nominations unit at UNESCO's World Heritage Center, Alessandro Balsamo has committed to guiding the country through its nomination process, bearing in mind that potential heritage sites are at risk due to climate change.
Caribbean, small Caribbean
We do apologize for that technical difficulty there. Balsamo highlighted the resilience of the Vincentian people in confronting climate change impacts. He also noted that the Grenadine chain of islands is rich in history and must be preserved.
Caribbean states stand on the front line of climatic change, but they also stand at the forefront of innovation, community resilience, and cultural creativity. The World Heritage Convention can be a powerful tool for resilience, but only if grounded in solid science, strong community engagement, and robust protection and management systems. This workshop is therefore an essential step in aligning heritage protection with sustainable development and climate adaptation. The Grenadines represent a constellation of islands whose landscape, biodiversity, and cultural histories embody the richness and complexity of the Caribbean. Here, ancient migration routes, indigenous traditions, colonial encounters, maritime cultures, and unique geological formation intersect to form a heritage mosaic of exceptional depth.
The three-day workshop with the World Heritage Center team and local stakeholders wrapped up today at the Beachcombers. Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday was expected to leave the state today for Bogota, Colombia, to attend the 10th Summit of the Community of Latin America and Caribbean States, CELAC, and the CELAC African High-Level Forum. A news release from the Office of the Prime Minister said the Prime Minister will be accompanied by Kevin Hope, Senior Advisor and Ambassador, Finance, Climate and Investments, in his capacity as personal representative to the Prime Minister, and His Excellency Ambassador Gareth Bino, SVG's ambassador to Venezuela. The release says the CELAC Summit will unite leaders from Latin America, the Caribbean, and Africa to boost cooperation in trade, investment, and sustainable development. The Prime Minister Friday will also promote key initiatives to foster growth and strengthen partnerships for the benefit of Vincentians. The summit is expected to conclude with the adoption of the Bogota Declaration, outlining a shared vision for improved cooperation among participating countries on Saturday, March 21st, 2026. While the Prime Minister is away, Daniel Cummins will serve as acting Prime Minister. President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Daniel Best, says the institution is exploring ways to support Caribbean countries as they prepare for the challenging times ahead. Speaking at the institution's 56th annual media launch yesterday in Nassau, Bahamas, Best outlined the bank's 10-year strategic plan while acknowledging the impacts on the region will face due to global volatility.
The preview is an opportunity to explain why this meeting matters, because it comes at a moment when the global environment in which the Caribbean operates is becoming increasingly complex. And in recent weeks, we have once again seen how quickly global volatility reaches our shores. Rising oil prices, driven by geopolitical tensions, immediately affect electricity costs, transportation, and the price of food across our economies. Global shocks can quickly translate into household realities. And that is why I have described the years ahead as a decisive decade for our region, and exactly why the upcoming annual meeting matters.
The CDB president noted that the 10-year strategic plan, which was unveiled recently, is geared towards strengthening Caribbean countries to become more adaptable and resilient.
Moment for the Caribbean, an opportunity for our leaders, governments, development institutions, private sector, youth, and institutional partners and international partners to come together to identify practical solutions that can help the region navigate uncertainty while unlocking the opportunities that lie ahead. The agenda we have designed for this meeting reflects that purpose. Every session, roundtable, and knowledge forum has been intentionally structured to focus on actionable ideas that governments, private sector partners, and development institutions can implement. Our goal is simply to translate uncertainty into action that benefits future generations.
The bank's main focus is the strategic plan is youth on institutions and climate action. Government launches landmark history book on St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This and other stories coming up when I return with more local news. Stay with us.
Welcome to Sister,
Welcome to the upgraded C-Star Limited.
where we offer to almost all your household items.
They've expanded their range to sofas, dining and patio sets, beds and mattresses, wardrobes, kitchen cabinets, office furniture. That's just a few from the luxurious collection. Not forgetting their signature quality windows, doors, rails, and bathroom enclosures. Journey on up to Sea Star, where the friendly sales clerk is happy to assist. Sea Star Limited, where quality meets style.
A funeral service should be one that you can be proud of, one that leaves lasting memories of your loved ones. And that's where you need the New Haven Funeral Home. We are proud of the quality and class we have brought to the industry. We are proud for having trained the very first certified embalmers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are proud of leading the way in terms of live streaming of funerals online so that your family members overseas could also be part of the celebration of life. We're constantly improving our services. We are driven by customer satisfaction, and we are proud of all that we do.
New Haven Funeral Home.
Introducing 2 new Instacash games. Yes, 2 more chances to win more money instantly from the National Lotteries Authority. Get the new $2 game, Win It All, where you can win up to $2,500. And there's Stacko Cash for $3 with a top prize of $5,000. Win It All and Stacko Cash, new Instacash games loaded with lots of prizes. Available at all Lotto agents. Instacash, so easy to play, and you can win instantly.
Welcome back. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is launching the book St. Vincent and the Grenadines, A General History to the Year 2025, Volume 1. Native Peoples, Genocide and African Enslavement in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The book launch is currently taking place at the University of the West Indies Global Campus in French's. The historical work was written by professional historians Adrian Fraser, Gary Denny, and Cleve Scott. A news release says the book provides a compelling and engaging account that takes readers deep into the historical journey of this small multi-island nation, exploring its early the impact of genocide and the era of African enslavement. The release further noted that using a combination of primary and contemporary sources illustrated with maps, tables, and photographs, the authors take readers on a journey along the main contours of the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, including the lives of indigenous peoples before European settlement, war and genocide, enslavement, resistance, emancipation, and apprenticeship. The authors also keep readers engaged by telling the story of Chatellier and his heroic resistance in the 1790s, as well as the tragic forced removal of approximately 5,000 Garifuna men, women, and children to the barren island of Baliso. This release notes underscores why strong calls for reparatory justice for Native genocide and slavery remain relevant in the region today. This general history, published by Ian Randall Publishers, is highly recommended for students at both CSEC, CXC, and CAPE levels, as well as for public servants and general readers interested in understanding how the past of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has shaped its present. According to the news release, the publication of this general history marks a defining moment in the nation-building process of this multi-island post-colonial state. Sergeant of Police Stephen Billy has reaffirmed that members of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force operates with a high level of confidentiality when handling sensitive information. Speaking during the Cop Chat program yesterday, which focused on the topic guns, gangs, and community safety, Sergeant Billy addressed public concerns and misconceptions that officers often disclose private information. He emphasized that this perception is inaccurate, noting that officers are bound by strict laws and professional standards that prohibits the release of sensitive details. He He added that while mistrust may exist in some communities, there is always at least one officer whom individuals can rely on to handle matters with discretion and professionalism. Sergeant Billy used the opportunity to encourage stronger relationships between the police and the public, stressing that building trust is essential to effective policing and community safety.
They trust with their life, who they line with and they hang out with, they say is the body or the brethren. But when it comes to giving information or passing information, all police are now become informers. But you heard the station sergeant said, you may have a pastor, you may have a friend, you may have somebody who you trust, who you can give that information to. Well, we all have somebody we can trust, who we can give that information to, who can then find a way to get that information to the relevant authorities so that something can be done. You asked about the information and the evidence. And as the station sergeant indicated, there will be an investigation. Your bit of information could help the investigator in their interrogation and the way they move forward to gather other evidence. And you might not never ever have to be ever part of that investigation.
Sergeant Billy further stated that greater collaboration between citizens and law enforcement is key to addressing issues such as gang activity and youth violence. According to the senior officer, with consistent cooperation and open communication, these challenges can not only be managed but also prevented.
There's a step and processes. I think a lot of the times we hide behind the notion that all police are not confidential, not to give the information. But society, we have a social responsibility to our country. You see, what we do when we keep silent, we empower the criminals. They become more emboldened. And they figure that they're untouchable. But there are other societies, when you stand up to the criminals and you do what you have to do, they realize that they're in the minority. And the society together, work together, can help solve some of these problems.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines will join the rest of the world tomorrow to observe World Down Syndrome Day 2026. However, several workplaces marked the occasion today by wearing mismatched socks, embracing the theme to stand together against world loneliness. Speaking on radio earlier today, Disability Officer at the Ministry of Family, Karen Joseph Nero, said that provisions are in place for people with Down syndrome under the Disability Act.
Our standards are our policies are according to international standards, whereby it can promote dignity and participation for persons with disabilities. We also advocate for easy access to buildings, and to promote that inclusion, we have a social inclusion unit that's part of the ministry's mandate, whereby we can provide support to persons with all disabilities. We are currently running mobilization. It's now the family and social welfare. So they would provide that sort of financial support. We have the National Public Assistance Act, where persons are granted assistance. So there's also a disability grant, and there's also the public assistance, which is a permanent assistance.
Also discussing issues related to Down Syndrome Day was speech and language therapist Kimberly Cambridge, who noted that support systems are available for people living with Down syndrome in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Down syndrome are very quick learners. They're visual learners, So even if sometimes their actual speech can be a bit stilted, can be a bit delayed, they can pick up things quite quickly, sometimes just as easy as seeing something for the first time, and they're able to pick up quite quickly after that. Children with Down syndrome as well, they definitely do need support systems. So speech therapy is one way that we can aid in their communication, but also physical therapy is another area that can be big support to children with Down syndrome. And these are both things that are offered at the hospital here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Ministry of Family is encouraging members of the public to join in tomorrow's activities as they celebrate and support people living with Down syndrome. Rising HIV risk among young people in the Caribbean sparks concern. This from the region. When I return, stay with us.
The Everready Funeral Home at French's is your friend in times of grief. With over 40 years' experience, they are prepared to take care of all your funeral arrangements. Embalming, lowering device service, grave mattresses, carpeting, vaults, tombs and wreaths. Arrangements for television obituaries. Cremation is available upon request. Everready Funeral Home offers the finest in caskets and coffins, local and imported. So, in your time of need, call Everready Funeral Home at any time. 456-1494. Everready Funeral Home, offering service above self.
Listen, the big hardware stores have been ripping off Vincentians for years with their high prices. They're doing general hardware with the lowest prices ever in SVG. Now, the big guys are scrambling to drop their prices, but they still can't beat the General. So don't let them fool you. General Hardware still has the best prices on lumber, plywood, and steel. And even with a sale, the General beats that too. So go on, compare prices. Then come to General Hardware and save dollars every day. Because nobody beats the General. Nobody. General Hardware Supplies, located next to Yvette's Pork City in Arnesville. Call 453-9000.
Since 2012, we have provided reliable, professional dialysis services in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are now proud to offer you new solutions for your health problems. Each new solution is being delivered to you with the same high degree of care and professionalism. We also use the best technology in the delivery of our services. So, does your doctor need a precise view of what's happening inside your body? Let us perform an ultrasound for you. Ladies, if it's your breasts, then choose our mammography service. For all issues related to men and women's health at any stage in your life, our team can perform the necessary investigations to put your mind at ease and recommend solutions for your problems. If it's to see within your chest or check for broken bones and fractures, then use our state-of-the-art U-Arm X-ray service. For you aging men and women, we can now check your bone density, which will reduce any complications that may arise with overall bone health, osteoporosis, or arthritis. Health Solutions will provide answers and results in a timely, accurate manner in the most comfortable environment, while you are taken care of by well-trained and experienced staff. Please call us today at 451-2836 or 434-3170, or visit us online at healthsolutionssvg.com. You can also follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Health Solutions, where we are providing solutions in SVG with care.
Welcome back in news now on the regional scene. While the number of HIV cases is falling in the Caribbean, the infection rate is climbing among the region's youth. This is according to Chair of the Pan-Caribbean Partnership Against HIV and AIDS Executive Board and Guyana's Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony. We hear more in this report.
We have made significant
We do apologize, we seem to be experiencing a bit of technical difficulty. However, the international news feature is coming up next, so stay with us.
Singer is a family store. We sell everything you need for your kitchen and more. Top brands and appliances. TVs, fridges, cookers. We make your life so easy. Just come in and see us. A wide range of furniture. Right here at Singer. Affordable beds and mattresses. Right here at Singer. Washing machines to make your laundry clean and fresh. Singer is a family store that gives you the best hire purchase deals. Right here at Singer. We'll outfit your home. Right here at Singer. The #1 family store. It's us with Singer.
Quality products, quality care, low prices, great customer service, all at Q-Care Pharmacy. Q-Care leads the way, providing all your pharmaceutical needs, a variety of personal care products, and so much more. Located on Halifax Street. Telephone number 451-2690. Q-Care Pharmacy, where the Q stands for quality.
Introducing 2 new Instacash games. Yes, 2 more chances to win more money instantly from the National Lotteries Authority. Get the new $2 game, Win It All, where you can win up to $2,500. And there's Stacko Cash for $3 with a top prize of $5,000. Win It All and Stacko Cash, new Instacash games loaded with lots of prizes. Available at all Lotto agents. Instacash, so easy to play, and you can win instantly.
Shop with confidence at Quartz. Get the lowest prices guaranteed. Get appliances, furniture, electronics, and so much more. If you find a lower price on any other products elsewhere, we'll match the price. Plus, we'll give you back 110% of the difference. Shop with confidence only at Quartz. Bringing value home. Special conditions apply.
And now for a look at the international news feature. South Lebanon is facing intensified military attacks by the Israeli army, with airstrikes targeting civilian buildings and forcing hundreds of thousands to flee their homes. The area is also being isolated as the army cuts off main routes, while France is attempting to mediate the conflict. We hear more in this report.
Week, with no path towards a ceasefire. Israel is threatening that what's coming will be more intense and more severe as long as Hezbollah continues to launch rockets across the border and refuses to disarm. It's already expanded its targets, destroying bridges across southern Lebanon. Israel says they are on Hezbollah supply routes. Fuel stations, it says, are affiliated to the group, have also been hit. The Israeli military has ordered hundreds of thousands living there to leave. They have little choice, with an aerial campaign that has killed more than 1,000 people. Paramedics, too, have been targeted and killed. Their centers and ambulances hit. And while Israel says they are being used by Hezbollah, human rights groups say the strikes amount to war crimes. Israel is accused of cutting off the south from the rest of the country. Its troops are advancing into Lebanese territory. Israeli army video shows them operating in border villages, but they have come under fire. Hezbollah is hoping to increase the cost of the war, but it's not clear how long it can sustain the fight. France has been trying to mediate an end to the hostilities, but before the French foreign minister's arrival, the Israeli Security Cabinet said it was discussing unprecedented action against Hezbollah. A clear message that a proposal by Lebanon's government to offer a permanent non-aggression pact with Israel was not enough. All the while, negotiations are being conducted under fire as both sides try to secure military gains for political leverage.
More than 1 million people are struggling to survive. That's 1/5 of the population. Some are living in tents or sleeping in their cars. The government is unable to deal with the challenge, and UN agencies complain about the lack of cash because of a shortfall in global funding for humanitarian aid.
Lebanon's appeals to President Donald Trump to stop the attacks have been met with silence. The U.S. has reportedly lost faith in a leadership that promised to disarm Hezbollah. So with no diplomatic opening, it's uncertain where this war is heading. Zana Khuder Al.
That's the news. Sports is just ahead, but before that, let's take a look at the local weather forecast.
A war in its third week, with no path towards a ceasefire.
The weather report sponsored by General Hardware.
Listen, the big hardware stores have been ripping off Vincennes for years with their high prices. They came General Hardware with the lowest prices ever in SVG. Now, the big guys are scrambling to drop their prices, but they still can't beat the General. So don't let them fool you. General Hardware still has the best prices on lumber, plywood, and steel. And even with a sale, the General beats that too. So go on, compare prices. Then come to General Hardware and save dollars every day. Because nobody beats the General. Nobody. General Hardware Supplies, located next to Yvette's Pork City in Arnesville. Call 453-9000.
And now for a look at the local weather forecast. Present conditions cloudy and slightly hazy. Winds northeast at 11 kilometers per hour. Temperature 25.7 degrees Celsius, relative humidity 78%. Barometric pressure 1011.0 millibars, 24-hour rainfall nil. Today's maximum temperature 28.7 degrees Celsius. Today's minimum temperature 22.7 degrees Celsius. Sunset 6:15, sunrise 6:08 a.m. Forecast occasionally cloudy and slightly hazy with a few scattered showers. Synopsis: weak unstable conditions will begin to affect the islands.
The weather report was sponsored by General Hardware.
Life can be stressful. Work, family, finances, it all adds up. Feeling overwhelmed, struggling with relationships, need help managing stress? You don't have to go through it alone. The Employee Assistance Program, Public Service, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, EAP, is here for you. We have confidential and professional counselors ready to listen and offer support for any personal challenge you might be facing, helping you find balance and get back to feeling your best. Call us today at 784-570-6718 or email eap.mps@gov.vc for more information, because a healthier you is a happier you. At the Employee Assistance Program, Public Service, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, your well-being is our concern.
Good evening and welcome to the Evening Sports. We hear that Alana King made a triumphant return to Australia's T20 international side as she and Beth Mooney provided the standout performances in what was ultimately a comfortable 43-run win in the first match against the West Indies at the Arnesville Sports Complex. But they had a horror evening in the field with 5 chances put down. Mooney's 79 or 55 ball was the standout batting performance on a night where many others struggled. She added 99 with Elise Perry to form the cornerstone of the Australia's innings, which had labored during the power play and finished with a wobble. The first 6 overs brought 34 for 2 and the last 3 just 23 runs. At 76 for 1 in the 12th over, West Indies had a base as the chances kept slipping through the hands of the Australian fielders. But ultimately, a target of 165 proved well out of the reach as King had the ball on a string to claim 3 for 14. The home side lost 3 for 0 in 10 balls to decide the contest. The next match in the 3-game T20 International Series will be tomorrow night from 6:30 p.m. at the Honnesville Sports Complex here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The final T20 game in the series will be on Monday night, March 23rd. Following 2 days of heats of the 2026 National Lotteries Authority Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championships (ISAC), 6 records were set. On Wednesday, during the girls' heats, Aya Stapleton of the Barley Secondary School set a new intermediate girls 800-meter record of 5 minutes 9.80 seconds, breaking Kessian John's 5 minutes 10.57 seconds. Then, in the senior girls 1500-meter, Kessian John broke Ashanti Richards' record of 5 minutes 28.90 seconds when she ran 5 minutes 23.61 seconds. On Thursday, the boys' intermediate 1500-meter record also fell as Jeremiah Wright of the West St. George Secondary School ran 4 minutes 23.05 seconds to break Zachariah Hepburn's record of 4 minutes 25.53 seconds. Danley Williams of Georgetown Secondary ran a new record time of 3 minutes 1.60 seconds in the junior boys 1000-meter to break Chumok, Ontario's Michael Stapleton's record of 3 minutes 6.28 seconds. Tyler Hercules of the St. Vincent's Grammar School ran away with the junior boys 200-meter and 400-meter records that were both previously held by Aaron Bidson, also of the St. Vincent Grammar School. Hercules ran 23.85 seconds and 54.03 seconds respectively to beat the records of 24.75 and 55.35 seconds. The finals of the Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championships are set for next Thursday, March 26th, with the Inter-Primary Schools Athletics Championship set for Wednesday, March 25th at the Sir Vincent Beach National Stadium at Diamond. On Thursday, March 19th, Sports Sciences retained the top spots in both categories of the 2026 St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College Road Relay. In the male category, Year 1 Sports Sciences Team 1 would have thought they had it done enough to take the top honors after establishing a healthy lead from the event's beginning to some 600 meters before the end. However, defending champion Sports Sciences Year 2 had different ideas as they quietly pinched their way closer to the leaders with a dominant anchor leg by Lamar Williams, who strode to victory with determination and pride. The winning male category Sports Sciences Year 2 team completed the road relay in a winning time of 52 minutes 11.56 seconds. Year 1 Sports Sciences Team 1 placed second in 53 minutes 42.16 seconds, while the Division of Technical and Vocational Education took third spot, ending in 56 minutes 50.28 seconds. There was no such drama in the female division as Sports Sciences Year 2 ran to victory from start to finish, winning in a time of 1 hour 13 minutes 37.06 seconds. Year 1 Sports Sciences were second in the female division in 1 hour 24 minutes 14.28 seconds, while the Division of Technical Vocational Education females finished third in 1 hour 24 minutes 54.69 seconds. The track and field season at the St. Vincent Community College will now move to Heat Day, Monday, March 23rd from 9:30 a.m. at the Sir Vincent Beach Stadium. That's how we end sports this evening. We'll be right back to wrap things up.
Listen, the big hardware stores have been ripping off Vincentians for years with their high prices. They came General Hardware with the lowest prices ever in SVG. Now, the big guys are scrambling to drop their prices, but they still can't beat the General. So don't let them fool you. General Hardware still has the best prices on lumber, plywood, and steel. And even with a sale, the General beats that too. So go on, compare prices. Then come to General Hardware and save dollars every day. Because Nobody beats the General. Nobody. General Hardware Supplies, located next to Yvette's Pork City in Arnesville. Call 453-9000.
Welcome back. Now for a second look at the headlines. UNESCO raises climate concerns as it supports SVG's heritage site nominations. Rising HIV risk among young people in the Caribbean sparks concern. Israel targets civilian areas in Lebanon. No end in sight to violence despite mediation efforts. And in sports, King and Mooney star as Australia women escape catching nightmare to clinch the first T20 against the West Indies women at the Arnesville Sports Complex. And now for a recap of the local weather forecast. Regionally cloudy and slightly hazy with a few scattered showers. On behalf of all of us here at SVG-TV, thanks for viewing. I'm Triska Campbell, inviting you to visit our Facebook page for a recap of the news as well as daily headlines. Also, check out SVG-TV's News in 15 weekdays at 12:45 p.m. Again, thanks for viewing. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Cuba plunged into darkness as a nationwide power grid collapse leaves millions without electricity. Grenadians could soon face visa bans as the United States moves to tighten immigration controls. And the Cayman Islands move to limit young people's social media use amid growing concerns over mental health and online safety. I'm Renee Sion, bringing you some of the big stories across the region in this Caribbean Week in Review. Cuba is facing a deepening crisis after a nationwide blackout plunged the island into darkness earlier this week, leaving millions without electricity. Authorities say the country's entire power grid collapsed on Monday, March 16, following a major failure within the transmission system, triggering a complete shutdown across the island. The outage affected more than 10 million people, disrupting hospitals, businesses, transportation, and communication services, with many forced to rely on limited backup power. Electricity has since been partially restored in some areas, but officials warn the system remains unstable, with rolling outages expected to continue. The collapse comes amid a worsening energy crisis driven by fuel shortages, aging infrastructure, and ongoing economic constraints, limiting the country's ability to maintain and upgrade its power network. In some communities, frustration has been growing, with reports of small protests as residents grapple with prolonged outages and wider economic hardship. Authorities say efforts are ongoing to stabilize the grid, but the blackout has underscored the serious challenges facing Cuba's energy sector. Across the Caribbean, attention is turning to the presence of Cuban healthcare professionals in the region. In St. Lucia, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre says there is no formal agreement with Cuba for a medical brigade program. He explains that Cuban doctors on island are individually employed through the standard system like other foreign medical professionals. The clarification comes amid increased scrutiny of Cuba's medical missions, particularly from the United States. Officials say the doctors continue to support healthcare delivery with no state-to-state arrangement in place. We get the details in this DBS News report.
Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre declared during Monday's press briefing that no agreement between St. Lucia and Cuba for the provisions of Cuban doctors has been signed. This comes in light of a recent decision by the government of Cuba to withdraw their medical team from several Caribbean and Latin American countries.
Well, the position of Cuban doctors against the government is clear. We do not have any agreement
with the Cuban government and doctors. We have no agreement. We have no signed agreement for doctors with the Cuban government.
Pierre adds that the team of Cuban medicals on island are employees of the Ministry of Health. Regarding future partnership with Cuba, Pierre notes that it depends on market forces.
As to what will happen in the future, it depends on the supply and demand. But we have no written agreement with the Cuban doctors, with the Cuban government, as it relates to doctors who are working here.
Meanwhile, in Belize, the government is taking a cautious approach as it weighs the future of its long-standing relationship with Cuban healthcare workers. Prime Minister John Bresciano says his administration is engaged in ongoing discussions with the Cuban Medical Brigade, which has supported Belize's healthcare system for decades. He acknowledged the critical role Cuban doctors have played, particularly in rural communities and in specialist care. Bresciano indicated that the situation is still under review, with the government carefully considering its next steps. He says any decision will be guided by the need to maintain stability within the healthcare system while addressing the broader concerns surrounding the program. For now, Belize continues its assessment as it determines the way forward.
We feel very strongly the Cuban Brigade. We are very grateful for the tremendous work that they have done, and that they are in areas where we don't want to be, some of our doctors, and also they have specialties that we don't have. We are in some delicate negotiations both with the Americans and hopefully then with the Cubans to see if we could find a hybrid to be able to keep as many as possible of the Cuban doctors here. But as you know, we are just a speck in a big pond, and then we have our big brothers up north that they don't care about anything. They just say, you do it our way, or then we are going to deal with you. And now just imagine, we said to hell with you, we there with Cuba, and we can raise a flag, and we this and that, and then they say we can cancel all the visas of Belizeans. You know, I'll be the first one to jump on my back. True or false? True or false? Be honest. Be honest. No. We'll be the first one to jump off we back that we're wrong with you, we didn't lose we visa, we can go to the United States.
In Trinidad and Tobago, concerns are growing following reports that hundreds of nationals have been sent back from the United Kingdom after seeking asylum. According to the country's Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister, Sean Somers, between 90 and 97% of more than 700 applicants have been repatriated in recent months. This development follows the surge in asylum claims, with nearly 800 applicants recorded between 2023 and 2024, prompting tighter immigration controls by UK authorities. Officials say many of those traveling to the UK had initially entered as visitors before later applying for asylum. The situation has raised concerns locally as authorities continue to monitor the return of nationals and the factors driving the increase in asylum claims. The issue also comes in the wake of the UK's decision to introduce visa requirements for Trinidad and Tobago nationals aimed at tightening its immigration system. Grenadians traveling to the United States could soon face an additional requirement, with reports indicating that a visa bond may soon be introduced before entry. The measure, expected to take effect as early as April 2nd, is set to form part of a broader effort by the United States authorities to tighten immigration controls and reduce visa overstays. Under the proposed system, travelers may be required to pay a refundable bond, which would be returned once they comply with the terms of their stay. While full details have not yet been outlined, the move has already raised concerns about the potential financial burden on travelers and the wider impact on mobility. We get more in this GBN News report.
A major shift could be coming for Grenadians hoping to travel to the United States. Under a new U.S. policy announced on the U.S. State Department website today, nationals from Grenada will be required to pay a visa bond, which is a refundable sum intended to ensure travelers leave the U.S. before their authorized stay expires. While full details are still emerging, such bonds are typically applied to countries flagged for immigration risk factors, particularly visa overstays. According to the latest U.S. Entry-Exit Overstay report, Grenada recorded 260 overstay cases in 2024, representing an overstay rate of 1.67%. This means the overwhelming majority of travelers comply with immigration rules, with nearly 99% leaving the United States on time. With the implementation of the visa bonds, Grenadians applying for U.S. visas may now face higher upfront costs as well as additional scrutiny before approval. The bonds range from $5,000 to $15,000 U.S. Similar bond requirements were placed on Dominica and Antigua in January 2026, which was said to be driven by concerns over citizenship by investment program security, potential traveler overstay, and tightened immigration control. GBN has reached out to U.S. Embassy officials for further clarification on how the bonds will be administered and was told talking points will soon be circulated with more details.
Grenadian fisherfolk are once again able to export fish to the United States following the lifting of previous restrictions. The decision comes after authorities moved to meet U.S. marine protection and regulatory standards, which had led to the suspension of exports. The reopening of the market is expected to provide a boost to the local fishing industry and livelihoods. However, officials say strict compliance will be required with continued access dependent on maintaining those standards. Here's more from GBN News.
Starting immediately, Grenadian fisherfolk must follow new requirements to maintain access to the U.S. fish market following the lifting of restrictions last week. They must complete vessel logbooks for every fishing trip and fill out marine mammal forms to record any interaction with protected species. The use of traditional J-hook is now banned and must be replaced with circle hooks, which will help protect marine life. Longline vessels are also required to carry special release kits to safely free any marine mammals caught accidentally. These new rules were announced at a press conference held by Minister for the Blue Economy, Lennox Andrews, earlier today, after the U.S. officially lifted its ban on Grenada's fish export. The ban, which started on January 1, 2026, was removed after the U.S. confirmed Grenada now meets its export standards. However, Minister Andrews warned that Grenada must stay in full compliance until December 31, 2029, or risk being banned again. He called the development a positive step, but said much work remains to be done.
31, 2029. Good. But it also said that during this period, NOAA fisheries may reconsider and may terminate a comparability finding if it is determined, based on any progress report or other available information, that Grenada's regulatory program no longer meets the applicable conditions for a comparability finding. Good? So it means that we have work to do.
Ricardo Benjamin, a member of the Longliners Association, says the experience shows the need for Grenada to find new markets and build a stronger, more resilient fishing industry.
Though we appreciate having access once more to the U.S. market, we are still committed in ensuring that we do have alternative markets on stream nonetheless. Reason being, this situation showed us that we need to diversify our industry. So we are still pursuing alternative markets like Canada, still pursuing Guyana, still pursuing Trinidad, and many other markets. In that way, we can strengthen our industry even more and make it more resilient.
Officials say continued cooperation between the government and fisherfolk is critical to meeting U.S. standards and keeping Grenada's place in the international fish market.
We'll have more news right after this break.
Ever been told you can't use Stripe in your country? That was Marsha's reality until she found GloboVest. With GloboVest, she set up her U.S. business in just 3 days. No travel, no stress. She unlocked access to global payment systems, Stripe, Mercury, Wise, and started accepting payments from customers worldwide. Now she runs her online business like a pro professional and profitable, all without leaving home. Since 2022, GloboVest has helped entrepreneurs from non-supported countries get access to global financial systems with speed and support. And if we can't form your company, you get a full refund. No risk, no excuses. So what are you waiting for? Your global business starts now. Visit www.globovest.com.
In the Cayman Islands, a motion passed in Parliament is putting the spotlight on restricting social media use among young people. The proposal comes amid growing concerns about mental health, online safety, and exposure to harmful content. Officials are now exploring how such measures could be implemented, including possible age limits and safeguards. However, experts say any approach must go beyond legislation. Specialist Sophia Ali notes that parents, policy, and personal responsibility will all play a role in managing youth social media use. We get the details in this report from Compass News.
I don't think anything's 100% foolproof, but I think if we're hitting something at many different angles and kind of supporting that same message, it can get through.
HSA child psychologist Sophia Ali says a multi-pronged approach to social media use for children is what is needed.
There's a part that government plays, there's a part that a parent plays, and there's a part that the individual plays. But I do still think the lion's share of responsibility lies on a parent, providing appropriate structure and having continued discussion with their young person.
Aline says parents need to lead by example when it comes to social media, saying these platforms are designed to be addictive.
They're built on algorithms that are meant to hook you, and children have developing brains. The bit of their brain that focuses on your ability to control yourself doesn't really develop until they're adults.
She says parents need to be aware of the dangers that come with social media usage for kids.
As a caring society, a wider community, we still have to do what we can do on the level that we're at to address what is a real problem with body image, cutting, self-injury, anxiety, depression, you name it, it's out there. And a lot of it is linked to social media usage.
16-year-old youth parliamentarian Johanna O'Connor shares her thoughts on social media usage.
We can't just rely on the apps or social media itself to provide restrictions. We, the government, need to take steps to ensure that our young people are safe and not being exposed to things they're not ready to see.
But while the dangers of social media are real, Aline says it's not all bad.
There's not everything wrong with social media. There's content that's useful. There's content that's helpful. So, you never want to go like all devil and no angel.
Limiting screen time and monitoring social media activity are two additional measures that can help address the problem.
I think as a parent, you have got to find time to build in for playing board games, for doing things, for going to the beach. I still get excited when I hear young people talk about, they're going fishing this weekend and just being able to be still and quiet, because a lot of people can't do that. They literally cannot be still with themselves.
Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley has described the 2026 budget as a people's budget as debate continues in Parliament on the appropriations bill. Speaking during the debate, Mottley said the package is designed to ease the cost of living and support vulnerable Barbadians while strengthening key sectors. Among the measures are tax relief initiatives, continued cap on certain costs, and targeted cash support programs for those most in need. The budget also provides increased funding for healthcare, housing, and social services, including support for the elderly and persons with disabilities. In addition, government is investing in water, energy, and infrastructure projects aimed at improving resilience and reducing long-term costs. Mottley says the measures reflect a deliberate effort to put money back into people's pockets while positioning the country for sustained economic stability.
As was the judgment of the majority of Barbadians, we are meeting their expectations where they expect their expectations to be met. And that is why I describe this as a people's budget. And that is why I say that we not only met people where they are in their households and in their small businesses, but we have also addressed the bigger issues of the structural transformation of this economy. In the case of welfare grants, we said do not wait until the new financial year. Increase the welfare grants by 30% from the 1st of March 2026. And Mr. Speaker, that comes on top of a 40% increase in welfare grants in 2020 in the middle of COVID by this government. Do you understand that people in Barbados who are on welfare, who don't choose to be on welfare, but who regrettably find that as their anchor, are receiving 70% more tonight than they received before this Barbados Labour Party administration came into office?
Stay with us. Up next is sports. Time now for a roundup of some of the sporting developments in the region this past week. In cricket, calls are growing for West Indies head coach Darren Sammy to step aside. Former director Billy Haven has renewed his criticism following the team's Super 8 exit at the T20 World Cup. He says it may be time for a new direction in the setup. The comments are adding to the conversation around the future of West Indies cricket. The details from ABS Sports.
Two-time former champions West Indies were perfect in the first round, defeating major rivals and eventual semi-finalist England en route to topping Group C with a perfect win record. West Indies began their Super 8 campaign by hammering Zimbabwe, but were brought to earth by losses to South Africa and co-host India. The Indian team won the title after defeating New Zealand in the final. Heaven, the former Jamaica Cricket Association president, charged that Sammy should not have been given coaching reins and should now be given the boot. He said that during the 2026 World Cup, West Indies suffered mostly from the lack of clarity over team composition and shortcoming in tactical execution under pressure. While Heaven has been adamant that Sammy step aside or be removed from his position, CWI President Dr. Kishore Shallow said last week that any change was unlikely before the coach's contract expires after the 2027 50-over World Cup. In the face of positive reviews regarding the West Indies' overall performance, particularly given their woeful run heading into the T20 World Cup, Heaven insisted that frailties were exposed when the regional team faced top opposition, hence their failure to reach the semi-finals. He stated West Indies remain one of the most decorated teams in the format, which such a legacy should reasonably expect to compete for semi-final places, not simply celebrate advancement past the preliminary phase.
In athletics, the British Virgin Islands' Adeja Hutt has been stripped of her medal from the World's Under-20 Championships following a positive drug test. Her results have been disqualified, triggering a reshuffle of the podium. Jamaica's Alana Reid retains the gold medal, while Barbados' Kishana Niles is now upgraded to silver, and Great Britain's Nia Wedderburn-Goddison moves into bronze. In netball, Barbados is stepping in to host the Americas Regional Qualifier from October 19th to 26th after St. Vincent and the Grenadines withdrew as hosts. The late change-up puts Barbados at the center of regional competition, with teams from across the Americas set to battle for qualification. Organizers are now working against time to finalize preparations and deliver the tournament. President of the Barbados Netball Association, Nisha Craigwell, says the opportunity is a positive one for the island and the sport. She adds that hosting will give the Bajan Gems a valuable home court advantage.
A lot of the times our Bajan Giants travel
great distances to play netball, and it is always a welcome feeling. It's always, don't even know how to explain, it's always a good feeling to have our Bajan Gems playing at home, and there's nothing like putting on our national colors before our home crowd. And it really gives us the opportunity to have the younger players see netball at the standard that is played throughout the region. This opportunity does not come too often, and I'm hoping that we would have the regular support that we normally have from Barbadians far and wide.
And that's sports. We'll be right back.
Ever been told you can't use Stripe in your country? That was Marsha's reality until she found GloboVest. With GloboVest, she set up her U.S. business in just 3 days. No travel, no stress. She unlocked access to global payment systems, Stripe, Mercury, Wise, and started accepting payments from customers worldwide. Now she runs her online business like a pro professional and profitable, all without leaving home. Since 2022, GloboVest has helped entrepreneurs from non-supported countries get access to global financial systems with speed and support. And if we can't form your company, you get a full refund. No risk, no excuses. So what are you waiting for? Your global business starts now. Visit www.globovest.com.
Let's take a quick look now at some of the other stories that made newspaper headlines. News Source Guyana published the headline, Mohammed pays court costs AG with wheelbarrows of coins and small notes. It says businessman and opposition leader Azruddin Mohammed delivered court-ordered payments using wheelbarrows of cash, including coins and small notes, in a dispute with the Attorney General. Authorities say a significant portion could not be accepted and the matter remains unresolved. The move has drawn strong reaction and public attention. In the Bahamas, the Tribune newspaper carried the headline, Cocaine and Caffeine Found in Reef Sharks off Eleuthera Study Finds. According to the paper, a study has found that reef sharks off Eleuthera contains traces of cocaine, caffeine, and other pharmaceuticals, highlighting marine pollution concerns. Researchers say the contaminants likely stem from wastewater and human activity, even in relatively remote areas. The findings are raising fresh questions about the impact on marine ecosystems. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Searchlight newspaper posted a headline, Police Fighting Each Other Over Weed. CUP wants reversal in amended Drug Act. It says concerns are being raised over the country's amended drugs legislation, particularly around marijuana use. The Commissioner of Police is calling for a review of aspects of the law, citing challenges within the force and wider society. The issue has also been linked to problems in schools and communities, with officials pointing to increasing concerns about youth exposure and enforcement gaps. The debate is now gaining attention as calls grow for a reassessment of how the law is applied. Those were some of the stories that made newspaper headlines. And before we go, let's take a look on the lighter side. A goldfish is making waves after earning a Guinness World Record for driving. The fish named Blub drove a custom-built vehicle by simply swimming inside a tank, with its movements controlling the direction of the car. In just 1 minute, Blub managed to travel over 12 meters, setting the record for the greatest distance covered by a goldfish in a motion-controlled vehicle. The invention was created by a Dutch engineer who says the idea was to show how creative technology can be, even in the most unexpected ways. And while it may sound like fun, the technology could one day help people with mobility challenges. And that's where we end Caribbean Week in Review. Join us again next week as we recap the stories making headlines across the region. I'm Renee Sion.
The climate is changing, and you?
The mangrove forest is important because it protects the Ashton community from storm surges and erosion. With the impacts of climate change, our mangrove forest is dying, putting the safety of our community at stake. At Susgren, we are adapting by restoring mangrove forests as it's our first line of defense during adverse weather conditions. The red mangroves have a strong crop root system which helps defend the coastline by breaking the waves' energy. To maintain a healthy mangrove ecosystem, we can educate and replant. Now, Ashton Lagoon is blossoming. It supports critical habitat for marine and bird life. Turquoise water flow. The lagoon says, I can breathe again.
You too, take action.